Hi, today we're going to be cooking one of my favorite minestrone soup. Has lots of different ingredients. You really can't go wrong. You can ad-lib as you go along, but we'll try to follow a recipe today just to show you how to do it. Lots of different ingredients, like I said. Here's the printout from the website. We have broth for the soup. You can use any kind of broth you have. Here we're just using a vegetable broth. All the different Winter Sun Farms products, the kale, peppers, summer squash, tomatoes, green beans. We have Parmesan, white beans, pasta, carrots, celery, garlic, onions, oregano, basil, and bay leaves. All this stuff will come together beautifully for a minestrone soup. First we're going to work on the base of the soup. So we put some olive oil in there to get it going. Get that nice and hot. Then we add onions, celery, carrots. Now we'll cook those for a couple of minutes just to get them nice and hot. So we'll let those go for about a minute or two. Now the onions, carrots, and celery have been cooking for about 3 minutes. Now we're going to add in the garlic, the bay leaves, the oregano. Well, here's the bay leaves. That was the basil before. And that just mixes all up in really nice. Cook it for about a minute. You can really smell the garlic starting to come out. Then after that's cooked, we're going to put it on low. And then let it blend, forming a really nice base for the soup. And we'll let it cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. And you'll start really smelling the flavors coming out of it. Okay, that's been cooking for about 10 minutes. Now we're going to open up the tomatoes. These are tomatoes from Amy Hepworth's farm in Milton. Some nice red Romas. Put those right in there. Okay. As you can see, they're not completely defrosted, but that's not a problem. They will do nicely. Now we'll take the broth. This is about 4.5 cups or so. We have a little reserve on the stove top, and we can add some of that later. Now we're just going to bring this to a boil. Now one of my secrets in my minestrone soup is Parmesan cheese. But when you get the end of the Parmesan like this and you're not really sure what to do with it, it's great just to add it to a soup. Okay, the soup has come to a boil, so now we're going to add the vegetables. We'll start with the green beans that James had chopped up for us. Now remember, minestrone soup is all about adding things and just playing around with it, because it's really, you can't really make mistakes. This is the summer squash. Now these are nicely defrosted, and you can just pour them in. If there's extra liquid goes in, that's just like adding vegetable broth. So that's really nice. Here's the tricolor pepper mix. Pour that right in there. I'm going to add some nice curly kale. Now before I add the curly kale, I'm just going to do one thing. I'm just going to chop it up a little bit. Just because I like it to be a little bit smaller in the soup. So it just cuts it up a little bit. Okay, just add all that to the soup. Now we're going to add the pasta. The pasta is not cooked, so it'll cook right into the soup, which is fine. If you're using a bigger pasta, you might want to cook it beforehand. All the pasta will do is just soak up a little more of the broth, and you can always add more broth and more water because this will be a very flavorful soup. So that looks great. Look at all those colors in there. Now we'll leave that on low. Just make sure everything's defrosted, and then we'll bring it to a quick boil. Now everything is defrosted here, so we're going to bring it to a quick boil here. Sometimes it'll take longer. You can throw the vegetables in while they're still frozen. It'll just take a little bit longer. Just cook it slower till everything's defrosted. You don't want to try to boil it while things are frozen. But everything's defrosted nice, and we're just going to bring it to a boil, and then we'll add the beans. Okay, so we just brought the soup up to a boil, and you can see the pot's pretty full, so we might need to add some more broth. But before we do that, we're going to add the beans. I like to add the beans at the end. These are canned beans. They get very smushy very quick, so we just want to cook them till they're nice and warm in the soup. We're going to add a little bit more broth. And we'll let that simmer for about 5 minutes. Now the beans are heated through, and it's time to serve. So we'll transfer it to this dish. I really love the minestrone soup because you can do so much with it, and the Winter Sun Farms vegetables just go great with it. Just excellent color. And before I bring it to the table, I'll add a little more Parmesan on top. And now we have 2 hungry eaters that we're going to serve. Here you go, boys. Okay. Here you go, Jack. Let it cool off, guys. Minestrone soup for the boys.